All right, guys and gals, with the Racelogic World, we're live tonight with Mr. Steve Hendren. Steve, I appreciate you being on tonight. I know it's an hour past where I'm at here, Central Time, so I appreciate you staying up and jumping on with me.
I'm like, not lazy, so I don't go to bed till late.
Well, good. Steve will wait for some people to jump on here, but
no worries.
How's I know I talked a little bit off air there. You said things are slowing down a little bit. How's I know a lot of people, how's the parts situation? You still having trouble getting parts?
Yeah, we have been. I mean, like, parts are kind of a deal. But I think it's getting better to a point. I'm just not sure to what point that is. So I see some of our series that we deal with maybe making some rule changes to accommodate to the part shortage.
Right. Yeah, I'd wondered. I mean, I haven't heard much out there about different, parts deal. I know last year when we done some classes, it was really bad. What's the hardest parts to get right now?
Right now, pistons for 602s and 604s, and piston rings for 602s are a bit of an issue. It's been a lot of an issue. But like, that's been the main thing.
Yeah. How is your have you had a pretty good year? I mean, a lot of wins, that kind of stuff still going on. I know you had really a couple great years.
Oh yeah. I mean, our customers are winning all over the country. So, I mean, I'm proud of that. I mean, we do produce race winning engines, which is, pretty cool, obviously.
Sure.
But we also take care of our customers. So to me, number one, and I don't care whether you're dealing with a chassis builder or a shock builder or whoever, you need to be dealing with somebody who actually gives a shit about you, honestly.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. That's what I've learned by doing these classes for so many years and people involved with them. The ones that are successful, like you and Robbie Bilbrey, some of them guys out there, is they answer their phone, they take care of business. You don't hear about, you owe somebody money, or I've been waiting on a motor and he told me 6 months ago and I'm still waiting on it and I ain't got it yet. And, so, I mean, that is important. But it's the same way, any business, anything you do in life, you better
100%.
You better do what you tell people. So,
well, I mean, the main thing is, like, when I do your school and I go there to do everything, I tell everybody, you call my shop, I'm the guy that answers the phone.
Yeah.
I could be putting a motor together and I'm answering the phone.
Right.
So, so that personal one-on-one connection means a lot. Of course, I'm in this business together with my brother, and of course my mom owns our business. But like, my brother's the same way. So if you got questions, call, ask. We're there for you 24/7. Not 24/7. We're there during business hours.
Right. Yeah.
You do have to separate at some point.
You do. You do. And that's why I kid with you a little bit, but these after hour deals that you do, I know you probably like to be, sitting at home with your feet kicked up drinking a beer, but
nice. By the way, yep, a little bit.
Let's see. Miller Lite. There we go. Steve, I got a first question out here, and I don't know who it's from. Some people I can tell names, some I can't, but it says, how much time should we safely put on a 602, 604 before we freshen it? I know that's a common question.
Well, it is a common question. And what I tell all my customers is, number one, buy a leak down tester. Okay. So you're leaking down the engine. So that tells you your percentage of leak down in the engine. And I would leak that engine down every 10 races. When you start seeing that percentage of leak down go up. So normally I recommend, if you're doing it cold, so if you're going to a leak down test on an engine cold, I recommend doing it, or like anything over about 15% is when you start needing to think about, rebuilding one. If you do it hot, anything over 10%, it's kind of the point where you start needing to think about needing to do that.
And that question was from Bad Brad at Velocita. So he's tuning in tonight. Great guy.
He's a buddy.
Yeah. He's I've known him for a long time, man. He's always backed me. And But he
My
was on
son
the other
wear
night.
my son wears his fire suits.
Yeah. He was on the other night, and honestly, I've known him a long time, but he was talking about safety and fire suits, and
Oh
heck,
yeah,
he was saying stuff that I didn't. I mean, I've been around this stuff
yeah,
forever, and I didn't know. I didn't know about it, but just talking about how to clean them and care. And I know we're talking
yeah.
about engines, but anyway, Brad is a good guy. So
I mean, I know. I mean, I've known Brad for years. He's a badass dude, makes a badass product, and that's why my kid runs his product
yeah,
or
no
uses
doubt.
his products.
No doubt. He's one of the good ones still left. And he's kind of like you. I mean, he knows what goes on in that business. He ain't just somebody sitting in the back office. I mean,
No,
he's out at
100%.
trade shows and he talks
Yep.
to people, and, a lot of people have his number. And anyway, he's still on top of his business, even though he's got a huge business. So
Absolutely.
one of the good ones left. Well, that was a great question. We'll anybody else got any questions for Steve? We got quite a few people tuned in now. Send us some questions, and I'll come up with some questions for Steve in the meantime. But
I'm like happy to answer anything anybody's got. I mean,
yeah, it could be IMCA stuff. I mean,
it could be
I would
IMCA,
assume.
yeah.
I'm assuming a crate motor is a crate motor, Steve. Am I right? Whether
I mean,
it's
the engine's the engine. The rules can change or be a variance between rules. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, yeah, engine's the engine. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, me and my business partner Kate Dillon, we do a podcast every Monday night on Crate Insider, and we answer all sorts of questions for people. So I'm always happy to answer questions. There's no such thing as a stupid question.
No, Steve's come to several of my classes when he can, and I always appreciate him doing that because, and a lot of that stuff, Steve, helps you not take so many questions on the phone too, so you can build motors.
Correct.
So I know that helps to help you. We do got a good question here, and I see a lot of these, but this is good. Best plug option for a 602?
Spark plug wise, I mean, normally what I do is like my favorite two plugs. I mean, I'll tell you my favorite two. So it's going to be the AR94 Autolite, or it's going to be the R5724-8 NGK. And both of those plugs work great. I prefer the AR94 if you're running methanol or if you're running E85. I prefer the NGK plug if you're running gas.
Good questions right there.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people, a lot of people just don't know. Let's see. Great Power had several. So I was trying to see who some of these I can't see the user until after I don't know why it don't let me see it live. I can see it once it's put up, but it won't let me see it live. But we'll wait for a few more questions. But I know, and I told you earlier, we got a lot of IMCA guys. Kate helps me. We do a really big IMCA following. So I mean, any of them guys got questions. Like you said, at the end of the day, it's a 604 or 60 whatever they run.
Yeah. I got no problem answering anything that I can answer. And if I don't know the answer, I'm going to tell you I don't know the answer. I'm not going to bullshit you. So,
and I know you do nothing but crate motors. Is that right, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, we built. So my family and I, we moved to North Carolina in 1995, and my dad and I and my brother, we built super late model engines and limited late model engines from 95 up until about 2007 or so. And we're highly successful with that. And we basically just switched to the crate thing because my dad kind of saw the way things were going in racing. And so we switched to that, and we've been doing that ever since.
Right. Because I know I've been asked. Go ahead.
I was going to say we're probably one of the first crate engine builders in the entire country, honestly, who basically switched our entire business from doing super late model stuff to doing just strictly crates.
Right. And I don't know the difference. You can probably say this, but you do mostly. Who are you licensed with to rebuild? I guess is the question.
All right. So the only two series that I'm licensed with, and it's going to be honestly the only two series I would ever be licensed with, is going to be Crate Racing USA, and it's going to be the Rush Racing Series. Those are the only two series that I find to be legitimate. Number one, in the engine builder realm of what they have for engine builders. And number two, because I know how their tech is, and I know that that is the 2 series in this country that I know is 1,000%. If I get busted for doing something stupid, I'm out for life.
Yeah.
You can't buy your way back in, unlike, another series that exists around here. And, they're not, it's, unlike another series in my area, you can't be somebody who was kicked out and then you're the engine builder guy who's teching everything. So.
Well, and that's funny. I know a year or so ago, I asked you this, and, I'm like, could you just answered it? If you get caught cheating a motor, whatever that consists of, then you're out for life. And I'm sure through the last however many years, you've been approached several times. Hey, I'll pay you XYZ if you'll cheat my motor. And you told me first, without even looking, Brian, I won't do it, period. I am not costing me my career for a cheated motor.
No. And our stuff has been teched time and time again, unreasonably teched, honestly. I mean, like one of my best friends is Jonathan Davenport, and I built his motors when he was running crate shit for years. He won everything under the sun, and it was teched literally every weekend, and obviously it was never called wrong. I built motors for you. You look at half the guys in the Dream, super late model guys in the Dream. I built their engines when they run crates, and no, there's no way in hell I'm ever doing nothing wrong.
Yeah. I remember I asked you that, a dumb question at the time, but I'm like, have you ever been asked? He said, oh, you said, oh yeah, Brian, I've been asked several times through the years, but whatever that extra couple thousand or whatever they offered you, it ain't worth your career, in your name.
God,
right.
No, right. I would never do that. And it's, I mean, I know there's one of the things that cracks me up as an engine builder in this business, especially when it comes to the crate stuff, is you got guys that are out there just hoodooing people. I mean, they're saying, hey, we're blueprinting your engines. And I see all this shit because guys bring this stuff in to get freshened up from a different engine builder. And they're like, oh, yeah, we blueprinted your engine. Well, the block's never been decked. The thing's never been honed. I mean, there's people just hoodooing people right now in this industry. And that pisses me off more than anything. Because, here I am going, hey, I'm 4 months behind, which that happened this year and last year and the year before last. I'm 4 months behind, but they're like, oh, I can go to this guy and get it in like 3 weeks. Well, guess what that guy's not doing? What I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. He's selling it straight from the factory to that person.
What they're doing is taking the thing apart. They're, changing the silicone basically on the pan and the intake manifold, and they're putting it back together and sealing it again and calling it a blueprinted engine, which is just a crock of shit. So, and that happens. I know several that are doing it. I ain't going to name names, but I'm just saying I see it all the time.
Sure. I'll throw up a question here real quick. How much? Another common one. How much does it cost to freshen one up? I don't know. Maybe you go 602 and 4, so you kind of get down.
So 602. If it's one that's never been gone through before, you're basically looking right at 3,200 and some change, maybe 3,205 or something like that. 604, you're looking right around 33 at the moment. Okay. I will say that every month of this year, we've had price increases from GM on not only engine prices, but on parts prices. So that's today's price, like right now.
Right. But it's like everything.
That can change next week.
Yeah. Everything's, I'm in the food business. It changes. It changes every week. I mean, hell, you don't know what's going to be something next week.
Well, it's been insane this year because General Motors normally, like in the last, I'd say before COVID, before COVID, there was a price increase on January 6th, and then there was a price increase on, I don't know, let's say August 5th. I'm just throwing that out there. But it never So twice a year. Now it's like every month. And I'm getting a bit annoyed with it, honestly.
Dave Hammond's threw a good funny. We'll get a laugh here. We're waiting on some more questions. The same old, hey, will you sponsor me an engine? I'll put your decal on the left rear quarter panel. I'm sure we've all heard that.
Everyone in this industry has heard that. But if there's anyone I would do that for, it would be Dave Hammond.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. Even me in my deal, I had a guy, message me out of the blue, had a front wheel drive, and honestly, it was the same deal, man. I'll put your decal on my front wheel drive if you'll sponsor me. And I'm like, man, here's the deal. I'm like you and Steve. I'm like you and the rest of us. We're just trying to make a living, and I can't afford to sponsor a lot of people. But send me a message on Facebook and tell me you'll put your decal on there if I'll sponsor you. Is not a way to get to my heart and get me some money, get some money.
That is not the way to approach a sponsor. So the best way to do that, if you're actually looking for help, is number one, use the people's services before you ask for it.
Yes.
So I do have a few guys that I help out every year. But they've been with me for quite a while and they sell me engines. So those are the guys that I normally help out. Not trying to be, a dick about the whole thing, but I mean, that's the people that I help out is the people who help me out.
Yeah. It's ROI, return on investment. Anybody in the business world will tell you,
correct.
And I'll say this, it's off subject a little bit, but I had a big race down south that goes on every year, a big street stock race. And every year they've hit me up about, will you do something? And I've always gave away a free spot in my stock car class, you attended one of them. Yeah. And it's great, but I tell you, Steve, the problem was with that is I seen one advertisement on their Facebook, never got a thank you, never heard my name at the deal. It's like they get your money and then they forget the rest of the year or during the, and that is not a way to treat sponsors. I don't care if you're a track owner or you're anybody else, you want to continue to push their name out there. And it made me want to quit sponsoring, I hated it because I enjoy this race. I go every year and it's a big deal, but I've gave money. And then all of a sudden next year rolls around. Guess what? That same guy's messaging me, hey, you in again this year? Well, what the hell for? I mean, I didn't get anything, return on investment. I didn't get anything, so going back to the sponsorship deal, it's the same way with you. I mean, if you're going to help a guy with a motor, he needs to be selling you motors if you're going to help him out a little bit, so.
Well, I mean, 100%. I mean, and it's like, that's the guys I deal with are the guys who can actually sell it. And I'm not looking for winners. I'm not looking for guys who go out and just freaking dominate everything. I'm looking for dudes who actually spend the money with me. And before they ask me for anything.
Right. Sure.
Because I mean, that's the actual way you actually acquire a sponsor. You don't just go, hey, I'm 14 years old. My grandpa was rich and I want a sponsorship. So.
Right. Yeah. Dave Hammond said, just ship that to HMS. He said that motor. I hear you. Here's a good one, Steve, and it says a lot about you. Mm-hmm. And I don't know who it is. I can tell you in a minute, but it says Steve has sponsored me with knowledge for years. That's a sponsorship he's provided me for years, and it's a great partnership. So
I appreciate that. Like I said, I'm not here to hide anything. I'm here to actually share stuff. My dad did it for years when he was alive on 4M. 4M.
Yeah, I remember 4M.
I don't know if a lot of people remember it. It's kind of died down now. But my dad was giving away free information for years. I grew up racing. I raced up until 5 years ago, and now my son's doing it. But my dad's whole thing, my dad grew up racing. My dad grew up like the hard way racing. It was drag racing, but he grew up by like trial and error.
Right.
So his whole theory was if we can eliminate the error and let everybody get this knowledge, we'll have more racers. And that's what I've tried to carry that on. And that's what I'm always trying to do is
that's why
help people. I don't care whether you use my business or not, but
right. I know that's why you come to my class, because we kid about it every year. Usually it's your busiest time of the year. You don't like in airplanes. I mean, it's not your cup of tea. You do it because you know what I'm trying to provide to a racer, that a lot of this information he's getting, he's not, apparently his engine builder ain't giving him some of this, or he would already know a lot of it. So you're always willing to come and, you know, spend 100%. A couple of days. And, well, you know, I know it's not profitable enough for you, but you always do it anyway.
No,
you know?
I mean, the thing I like about your school, I mean, I normally go to the late model school. I went to the one street stock school here in North Carolina. But like the thing I like about your school is you actually have people who give valuable information that is irreplaceable, because everyone that goes there, and I'm not even me, I'm talking about Matt, I'm talking about Robbie, I'm talking about everyone involved in that whole thing. I'm talking about Baker, everyone involved in that whole thing. We're giving away stuff that people don't normally talk about and stuff that people don't normally know about, because a lot of times, like, you're too afraid to ask a question. Well, in your school environment, you can ask that question and you're getting the honest answer every time.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why we keep doing them. And I had a guy just ask here, any Crater limited class this year. So yeah, I mean, that's definitely something in the books. They're talking about it. I'm sure another late model class. Me and Henderson talked a little bit here a while back. I've been busy here in the last few weeks, but we'll definitely look at doing something somewhere, wherever that makes sense at. I mean, I know I try not to get too far off for you, but somewhere.
I'll be honest. I was a big fan of Pennsylvania last year. It might not have been the biggest class, but I think we reached a lot of people, and I get more off that one class than I do off of a couple others.
Right.
Many people calling me going, "Hey, I attended the class. You know, you said call me anytime, so I'm just calling to ask a question." You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it was definitely good, and you know, we're gonna look at we're gonna look at all them options. You know, the thing about sucks out there is that time of the year we caught it perfect. But, you know, that could be ice, snow, you know, trying to get there. Yeah, exactly. It could be bad. So we just was lucky. It was a great place. And
it was.
Vicky was unbelievable, you know, host. And
well, there's the Rush Racing Series. Look how she tried to promote that for you. That's what
she does a great job.
She's an actual real promoter.
Yeah, she's a talented lady for sure. I do got a question here, Steve.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can read it, but I can read it off to you. On a 602 street stock, do I need to run 1 5/8 or 1 3/4 or 1 7/8 step header with a 3.5 inch collector, or 1 5/8 straight with a 3 inch collector? Does that make sense, Steve?
If I had a choice between the two, and I see what you're saying, so it's like a choice between the two, I assume it would be 1 5/8 with a 3 inch collector all day long.
I'm going to ask a dumb question. I know you talked about it in the street stock deal about is it called inversion mufflers or something that you sell that you recommend?
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that, because I think that's important.
All right. So the anti-reversion stuff is a thing or the anti-reversion muffler, we call it a muffler. It muffles no noise. But anti-reversion is like something me and my brother came up with based off a proven theory, actually, by a man named Jim Fueling in California. And he actually worked with my dad years ago. And so what anti-reversion is every time you've got like an outflow, so exhaust cycle, right? You got an outflow. So what happens is as it goes out, automatically you get a suction back in to the cylinder, and it will contaminate the next charge. And it actually loses power because the next charge is contaminated. So what anti-reversion does is it prevents that from happening. So what ultimately ends up happening is you end up picking up more torque and ultimately more horsepower. The torque is the thing that you actually want, especially in crate racing. Horsepower is like just a stupid. It's not my podcast. Stupid effing number.
Right. Yeah.
So horsepower means nothing to me. It's all about torque.
All about torque.
So the more torque you can produce, that means you can pull gear out of the car. What happens if you pull gear out of the car?
Right.
Mile an hour increases.
Mile an hour increases. Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. I know that.
Give two F's about horsepower.
Sure.
But so what the anti-reversion muffler does is it increases torque exponentially.
Okay.
You can ask, I'll use an example. So my good friend Willie, who owns Willie's Carburetor and Dyno Shop in Illinois, right? When I first sent him a set of anti-reversion mufflers, because me and my brother were like producing them at the time. Now Profab does them for us. But when I first sent him a set of those, he put them on an open, I think it was like an open UMP engine, and picked up 100 foot-pounds of torque on the
dyno
chassis dyno.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I'm sold on this shit, you know. But normally on, let's say like 602, for instance, like, I don't care what kind of fuel you're running. I don't care what kind of header you're running. If you put a anti-reversion muffler on one of those, you're looking at probably about a 25 foot-pound gain, 25 to 30 foot-pound gain between 2,500 and 4,500 RPM. That's massive. That's the difference between winning or losing a race, because that is literally takeoff, right?
Oh.
If you do it with the 604, it's roughly the same RPM range. Again, it's the difference between winning and losing a race. I mean, depending on where you're racing. I mean, there's some slick places around this country where it doesn't matter what the hell you have for headers, because it could be a disadvantage in some of those places. But we've had them on World Outlaw sprint cars. We've had them on World Outlaw late models and Lucas Oil late models and everything else. And it makes a massive difference.
And I think somebody answered the question. They're saying it's not IMCA legal. Is that right? Or do you know if that's the answer?
They are not IMCA legal, because I would not pay IMCA to make them legal. And that's exactly what that comes down to. I figured that was the answer, because somebody asked, will those mufflers work good on IMCA open motor? Well, they would work good, but the problem is they're going to get DQ'd. Correct. And the irony of that whole story is that originally Dynatech headers was producing that muffler for us. I mean, we produced them for a while, so the demand got like insane. Then I went to Dynatech. Dynatech started producing them. And then Dynatech, which was owned by Speedway, which is a massive IMCA sponsor, right? They wouldn't pay IMCA to make them legal. So IMCA banned them.
Wow. I've heard a lot of that different. I know Hammond's talked about some of that, parts that he have. It's all, if you want to pay them money, it would be legal, you know? So, I mean, there's a lot of that out there.
That's how IMCA works. And I ain't sitting here knocking IMCA. I'm just saying it's not my favorite series in the world just because of that.
Sure. I mean, I get it, you know. I'm assuming all of them can be bought through Crate Insider with Kate. Is that right? If anybody's looking at them up.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah. Okay. I mean, Kate sells stainless steel versions and mild steel versions of that.
Okay.
Muffler.
Yeah,
if you're allowed to use them.
Right. If somebody's looking, I'm not here to sell products or whatever, but no. I know when Steve Hendren says it works, I can promise you guys he's not he's not here to build the engines. He ain't here to sell parts. So
I ain't messing with nobody.
Right. Well, that's good. I mean, that's good info for a lot of guys that's in the crate. I mean, because there's a lot of guys on here I know by names that are Crate Racing USA, and like you said, even Open Motors or whatever they're running. In my part of the world, it's USRA, which is USMTS, and I know you've heard of that. So
yeah, absolutely.
We're kind of split between. Yeah, we're kind of split between IMCA world and USRA. It's different tracks are different. I know it's totally different racing out in your part of the country, but so a lot of guys here can run them. But we'll see if anybody else got any questions while we're on here. Steve, what's some other comment? I know oil is another thing I hear a lot about. What brand of oil that you recommend, so that we may go over that real quick.
Yeah, oil's a big deal. again, I mean, I don't think oil is the difference between winning and losing a race when it comes to crate racing. I mean, there's plenty of guys that win races on Valvoline 50 weight, whatever. But I mean, generally, if you're like looking for the absolute best thing you can possibly freaking run and produce the most power you can possibly produce, then oil becomes an issue. So generally, I mean, I'll tell you what my own house car with my kid driving, we run Daytona 1 540. And both his 525 and his 604 and his 602.
Okay. And I think this is Hammond again. He said I've had 3, it works. I had 3 drivers bolt them on and they all tell me that they work. And I'm sure, I think Kate's listening in the background, but Dallin Murdy, which we done the class with this year, though, the IMCA stock car guy, the kid that's won everything in the world, Bristol and all of it. He drove Hammond's late model this week, done some testing in it. And
I saw that on Facebook, actually.
Yeah. Well, actually, Steve, the motor that was in his car, Dallin sold it to him. It's a Friesen motor because, you know, they're IMCA.
Right.
So anyway, Hammond bought it from him and it was in Hammond's late model. So Dallin asked him, said, man, what'd you do to this motor different than I did? And he mentioned headers and I think carburetor and stuff, because he'd run it on his IMCA modified. He'd run that 604 in his IMCA modified. And I'm sure when Dave took it, he put new headers and your mufflers and stuff on it. And he said it made a hell of a lot of difference. So I'm saying, with you saying all that, Hammond proved it to him, you know, a kid that had the same motor in a different car, and it made more torque and everything. So there was a lot to that. And I know you recommend, I know you run Profab headers. I know there's, you know, Schoenfield isn't, you know, seriously 10 minutes from my house. So they're huge in my part of the world. I know not so much out yours.
Well, I know Doug and all them. I mean, my dad was really good friends with Doug Schoenfield. But like nowadays, technology's got to the point to where I've got a really good relationship with Profab, because Profab will actually listen to me or me and my brother, and they will make changes like we want changes to be made. And other than one, I got another change that I still can't convince them to do, just because it would cost so much, and it would make crate headers probably cost like $3,000 rather than what they cost now. But so there's that.
Right. I know, like you said, plugs we discussed, fuel is a big thing. What's some of the other general questions you can think of off the top of your head to the viewers that you get asked a lot that needs to be told? Is there anything you think of?
Yeah, it's like usually like heating and cooling. That's like normally a common question. A lot of guys have problem, especially this time of year. I mean, we're in July, so I'm pretty much assuming it's hot everywhere. And so like the cooling thing is always an issue. You know, I'm like the one thing that people overlook a lot of times is going to be like their pulley system. So like whatever's on the front of the engine, like actually driving the fan. And a lot of people end up with systems that just slip like crazy. So me personally, I always use either KRC or I use Jones front drive systems. And I've never had a problem with those. I use on my own house car, on my kid's car, I use the race fan, which I don't know if many people are like familiar with it, but we can adjust the amount of blades we run on the fan. And, you know, I mean, generally this year, like this time of year, like on my kid's 525 or 604, we're like usually using like three blades. I mean, if it gains another 10 degrees, we might go to 4 blades, but then in the spring and the fall, we can like go down to 2. So
how much torque, horsepower, whatever, torque are you losing when you start adding blades to that?
Okay. So what I can tell you is, like, years and years ago, I mean, we did this testing, obviously, on our chassis now. And if you take an engine, I'm going to use 604 as an example. So you like take a 604 and you have no blade on at all. So let's say you've got whatever power. If you bolted, this was like a popular fan back in the day. You bolt one of those 4-blade GM giant ass 19-inch blade fans on there. Mm-hmm. That was like literally 35 horsepower off at the rear tires. We're talking the rear tires, right? That was like massive. If you cut 2 blades off that fan, the same fan, you'd gain half back. So fan blade in a limited horsepower application, horsepower torque application, means everything. So the least amount of blade you can get away with running, the better off you are.
Okay. And that's going to be the same whether they're an IMCA. I mean, crate motors,
whether it's, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Right. No. Well, that's good because, like I said, I know we got a lot of IMCA guys watching, so that's good info for them to know. Now,
the other thing that is a huge deal that a lot of people don't know about is going to be what's your engine breathing for air? In other words, you've got like late models. I mean, a lot of IMC stuff too, I believe. Modifieds, I mean. But you've got like the air cleaner is here. You got a big scoop coming over the top of the air cleaner, but no one has that air cleaner sealed off to the hood, right? Or very few people do. So what happens? You create a low pressure area because you got a scoop coming over, right? You create a low pressure area back here behind the air cleaner. Air is going over the top. What's that engine sucking for air? All that radiator heat, engine heat, header heat is getting sucked into the engine. So for every 100 degrees of air inlet temperature, you're losing roughly 10% in horsepower.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's
so if the ambient temperature is 100 degrees and your engine's breathing, you're making 400 horsepower and you're breathing 200 degree air, you just knock 40 horsepower off the engine, right?
Yeah. And you see it a lot. I mean, now I know you've talked about it in class, and even the car we had there in front of us was like that, and that's what made you bring it up. I think that's good for everybody out there to know.
And I can prove that all day on a chassis dyno all day long, and it blows people's freaking minds.
Steve, would that be as much on an open motor, you think, as well?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Okay. It applies to everything.
Yeah. Applies to everything. That's good. Yeah, and that's something probably overlooked more than anything, wouldn't you say?
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely. So if you're like a dude sitting in the pits and you're parked next to like another guy and you've got your shit sealed off to the hood to where it breathes nothing other than outside atmosphere, that dude next to you is automatically down on power versus you.
Good info. Great info. Hammond here, I don't think you can read what's on the screen, but it says in a 604 Alky, what do you think about Jones 2-blade fan and a single core double pass? I have Arch system on it.
Oh, I would definitely run that 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
He had another one here, Hammond's again. And at this time I have a Gorsuch 3-blade and a 2-core radiator with Arch system. Only gets to 180.
All right. So the guys from Gorsuch called me the other day, actually, and I am not trashing their stuff. I mean, the guys make great products. If I was running a super late model, I would probably use their fan. But in this limited horsepower application, no. I talked to the dude the other day, and he's like, we had an actual conversation, like good conversation. I'm like, dude, make a 2-blade fan. He's like, we're not set up set up to do that right now. We're making what we're making. I'm like, all right, cool. But no, that 3-blade fan on a limited power application is awful. like with Matt Henderson will back you up on this, because when he was running for CBR, we've dynoed this shit. And I had to show Matt on the dyno, on the chassis dyno at my shop, that no, this is not the fan you need to be using. So no, I would not be using that. I would use a damn 2-blade fan. Usually a race fan is what I recommend. Obviously, you can tune the diameter. So you can go like from 19 to 15. So I would like tune the diameter of the blade and run the least amount you can possibly run.
Good. That's good. Another quick question here. Asphalt guy, which I don't get a lot of them on here, but 602 crate, what plugs and wires you suggest for an asphalt modifier? Which I don't know if that changes from dirt to asphalt.
No, it doesn't. Like, plugs are going to be the same. So it's the AR94 Autolite or the R5720 24-8 NGK. Wires, I'm a big fan, honestly, of the Moroso Ultra 40s. I mean, I've used those for years. They last quite a while. They're not junky wires or anything like that, so they're actually a damn good wire. That's what's on our own house car, so I would certainly like suggest those.
Okay, that's good. Good deal. We'll just give it a few more minutes. I know we've been on a while, and you probably weren't ready to get something to eat.
It's all good.
Is there anything else, Steve, that needs to be told right here in front of a big audience that you can think of, you know, with the crate stuff? I know we've covered most what I hear, a lot of the questions.
Yeah, I mean, I get questions every day, honestly, and I don't always remember them just because, you know, it's like answer the question, it goes back into the backside of the brain, right. Kind of thing. But like, no, I mean, nothing I can like think of just outright.
I know carburetors is got to be a big deal in the crate world, and I know your brother builds them, and you know, I mean, I'm not pushing your brother stuff. I know you said you're friends with Willie, so there is some good carburetor companies out there. Do you kind of have some you kind of recommend that guys, if they're looking or needing something rebuilt or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, generally, like, obviously, I'm going to recommend my brother. My brother's actually, I mean, he got that from Dad. I did not inherit the whole carburetor thing from my dad. My brother did, but no, obviously, my brother's. I really like David Smith, and I like Willie's. Obviously, I mean, me and Willie and my dad were friends. God, back when shit. Early 90s. So
right.
So
okay.
And,
well, that's
and,
good.
And Willie's like a total innovator. That dude's got some badass shit. So
okay. I know that's a question I've seen a lot, even on your all's podcast on Mondays, is, you know, carburetor type stuff and keeping them cool, oil and plug wires and plug. Well, I think one thing we haven't covered, and we'll give it a few more minutes. Anybody got questions, hurry and get them on here so I can get Steve off. What about timing? I know timing's another big thing.
Yeah, ignition timing is going to depend on what fuel you're using, honestly. So, like, right now, let's take a 604, for instance, on E85, which is what I'm more familiar with, like where we race. It could be anywhere from 34 to 40 degrees, which is where like a chassis dyno comes into play. So what I would be doing, if you have a chassis dyno in your area, I would definitely recommend getting on that and then messing around with timing. And generally we'll end up between 36 to 38 degrees. But there is that one engine every now and again that likes 40. I built a motor for Scott Bloomquist 3 years ago now. And Scott went and raced a giant ass, or one of like 20,000 win race in Georgia. And our own house engine on CHP, this is back in the day when we were like running race gas, not E85. Our own house engine, like 34 degrees. I mean, 38 degrees. So Scott he actually came and dynoed on our chassis dyno on Thanksgiving Day. So it was me, my brother, my son, Scott, what's his name? The guy that used to help him. And we're in there like dynoing, and we made max power on his engine at 34, which is like, it's the same damn engine, right? And I can't tell you why the differential was there, but so get on a chassis dyno. Engine dyno honestly tells you nothing. I mean, break the engine in on an engine dyno, but it tells you nothing is about where you need to be, because it's the entire combination. So that's why I'm such a proponent of chassis dynos, especially for crate cars. And that's IMCA, that's street stock, that's late models, that's whatever.
Right. And I know you do that. And, I know there's a fee involved. So if a guy is interested in that, first question I would have, maybe a dumb one, would they have to have your motor in the car before you dyno?
No, I don't know. I don't know forever.
Okay. No, so if a guy was interested, he could call you, has a crate car or whatever, and you could set up a dyno time. It's 100%. Whatever. Right. Okay. I know you've preached that. Henderson's preached it in the classes. And once I heard, and I'm just a dummy out here in Arkansas, but once I heard why you wanted to see it on a chassis dyno, because I know back in the CVR, when Matt was driving for CVR, it was almost crazy some of the changes y'all made and how much it helped him. I mean, I remember him talking about it. Yep. So I'm sure you've seen that with a lot of cars over time.
Oh, thousands of times. Yeah. I mean, thousands, honestly.
Do you dyno usually 1 or 2 a week? I mean, is that common?
Depends on the time of year. This coming week, I got like 3 booked. And 2 months ago, I had like every day was booked. So,
right. I mean, how long does it typically take? Half a day? Or?
No, generally, like you're on there for an hour and a half, maybe at the most. And we charge like $140 per hour.
Okay,
it's pretty reasonable. Bad, and then, of course, my customers, if you're my customer, I dyno for free.
Oh, wow. That is big. Yeah. But like you said, you can change that fan blade or whatever. I mean, I'm not a genius, or a carburetor or whatever you're thinking. You can do it and actually see the difference right there.
Well, I mean, the main thing about a chassis dyno, especially like the one we got, which is the same one like Willie has, or same. Well, Willie's got like 2 now. Excuse me. But the main thing is I can read 1/10 of a horsepower, and I can also read acceleration rate. So acceleration rate means quite a bit. So when you're talking, like me and Kate were talking about the other night on our podcast, the Crate Insider podcast, when you're talking acceleration rate, especially in a low horsepower application, that means the world. So in other words, how fast can you take off on a start or restart versus the guy next to you? So that's where you get into like rear ends and transmissions and oils in the rear end, or oils in the transmission, or oil in the engine, all this stuff. Acceleration rate means a lot.
Well, that's good. And
you can't measure. Sorry, you can't measure that on a freaking engine dyno.
On a crate, quick change 411, is it better than a 486? Is that correct?
1,000%.
Okay, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, that sounds 1,000% better.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Good deal.
Especially when you get down to like an 8-inch ring gear.
Okay. Well, I don't see any more questions. It's almost been an hour. It's been a while. So you've already had one of these this week. So I do, like I said, any of these questions, I know Steve does answer the phone. So, if you got something, I tell everybody, and Steve don't, but I do, if you're going to call and take his time up, make sure you got exactly the question that you got. And, I know you're going to answer no matter where they got your motor, they buy a car.
I'm the guy that answers. So.
Right. So just make sure if you call, don't be like me and don't know what the hell you're talking about. Make sure it's it's going to be a legitimate question. And if you're looking for any of the parts that they discuss, I know you can get them on Crate Insider on Kate's website, or you can call her. And if you're looking at the mufflers or, any of the fans and that kind of stuff you discuss. And like I said, Steve, I bring guys like you on, not part sellers. You know what I'm saying? I try to bring guys on that bring knowledge, and this is why you run this part or this plug or whatever, because you've done this stuff your whole life, and your motors went all over the way, all over the country, really. So when you speak, I want people to listen and, use their money wisely instead of, I could get somebody from a carburetor place on here and all they're going to talk about is you need to buy my carburetor, so I try to get people in the industry that can help.
The idea behind me doing what I do when I work with you is shortening the learning curve. So I want people not to invest a bunch of stupid money or a bunch of money in a stupid way.
Yes, exactly. And I've seen that a lot with stuff Hammond's talked about, and even Ben works for AFCO, but you listen to him enough that he has steered people away from buying certain parts or whatever.
Oh yeah. 100%.
Because you don't need it, or I don't like that part. Even might have been an AFCO part. I've heard him say, let's you may want to look at something else. So, right. I mean, this racing deal is hard enough. It's expensive enough that we want to keep everybody involved in it as much as we can, and we want to make sure that they stay involved. And if I can get them good information out there to keep them interested, I mean, I've had guys, Steve, even. I don't share enough of it as I should, but guys from the street stock class in North Carolina, believe it or not, there's a guy that's won like 6 races at I think it's Hagerstown,
Maryland.
And I'm it's somewhere in your part of the world, the Northeast.
Hagerstown.
Hagerstown, I believe. But and he told me that he took everything out of the class, your stuff included, and built a car and put it out there. And I'm not saying everybody's going to do that. I'm never going to tell you, you're going to come to my class and you're going to go win 10 races. No. But if you listen and pay attention and apply yourself, this guy's won 4 or 5 races. And he said it's because I listened. And it's the guys who go there and think, well, I don't know if that works, or I'm not sure. That's the ones who end up going back, and they're not even better off than what they were when they went. So,
like my testimony to the whole thing is I can tell you for 1,000% fact, I've never gone to one of your schools, which I've gone to 4 now?
Yeah, about 4, I think. Yeah, 4 or 5, yeah.
I've never gone to one of your classes and not learned something. And I've been doing this shit since I was freaking 14 years old. And especially like the race car driving part of the thing. And I've never gone there and not learned something. And actually, I've learned a lot. I mean,
Yeah, and it helps you with your son's car and your engine building, 100%. Everything.
Yeah.
So,
and then,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. I mean, mostly what I'm learning is like chassis side of things, obviously, and shock side of things and everything. I mean, all the spring smashing. Dude, that did not exist when I was racing. Was spring smashing. I've learned all that just by going to your school.
Well, like you said, it's shortening the curve, and especially in this crate deal. I mean, when I first talked to Kate, and I figured out you and her were connected, and I was like, man, what's the chances of getting Steve there? And she said, well, I asked him. I think he would do it, because I didn't know you, and. Because I knew, even in my stock car stuff out, the IMCA stock car deal we did, they can run a 360. It's different. It's not crate related, but next year I want to get the engine builder out in the Midwest to be there, because I never realized how much stuff there is to know about. Everybody thinks of a chassis setup is all there is to this deal, and it's not. I mean, it's the little things that you told there about a motor, or about the plugs, or about the mufflers that can help a guy. It ain't all about the setup. So we try to bring all this stuff together and put it in a form where it can help everybody,
Right. Exactly. And, technology marches forward. So if you want to stay on top of things, then what you do is you do your school.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm not pushing it, but I mean,
I'm pushing it. I'm pushing it. But I've learned something every time I've been there. So.
Right, and I appreciate that, respect that, and you know, we started. You know, when I met Kate, I had to brainstorm that I want to do it online, and I didn't know anything. She didn't either, but she said, "Yeah, I think we need to do that." And Steve, I'm telling you, it's probably the best thing I've ever done. It's not because I make money from it year round.
No,
I've had guys that go back. You know, you cram a lot in 2 days. I've had guys that go back in their shop, and they tell me this. I had one kid that's he was a 10th, 12th place car, and he's been in a stock car deal, and now he's had like 6 seconds and 2 wins, you know. And he goes back and watches that over and over because he says, I always miss something or whatever. So you know, I couldn't learn everything in 2 days, but if you can go back and listen to it, kind of like his podcast or whatever, you can go back and fast forward, rewind it, and try to remember that section that they talked about. The front ends or the mufflers or whatever, you know, it can help guys. So that's probably one of the best things I've ever done to help them because they all get it free, you know?
Yeah. And it is hard to like the amount of information that goes on at one of your schools can be overwhelming. Like it's all like bam, 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 bam. I mean, not in that way. I'm just saying it's like, wow. But then you get that for free to go back and look at again because maybe you didn't like get it the first time. You know what I mean? Yeah,
and that's what I hear a lot of. Like you're right, they're just kind of overwhelmed, and they're like, "Man, I don't remember what." Because I've had people say whatever it is, but I don't remember what Steve said about them damn mufflers, you know. And then they can just go back, you know, play it back and watch it, and they're like, "Okay, now I know what he said." So before I call him and ask a dumb question, I'm going to know what I'm talking about before I call. So a lot of good info. Well, listen, Steve, I appreciate you being on. Everybody says
Dude, great
information. And I know it's 9 o'clock your time, so it's 8 o'clock mine. And we've been on about an hour. But I appreciate you being on. I'll get Kate on for long. And hopefully before classes next year, I'll have you jump back on again. Because I know everybody don't watch y'all's other podcasts. And so
I'm happy to do it anytime. And like I said, me and Kate got our podcast on Monday nights. So if you like Crate Insider, go on there, and she and I do a podcast every Monday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time, which I totally screwed up the whole thing tonight because I thought it was
I kept saying Central time.
I'm like, oh,
yeah, I'm an hour behind here of you guys. So, but I appreciate you being on and appreciate what Kate does for me, and I know we'll get together probably in the next 2 or 3 months and figure out what next year looks like. I kid with everybody, including you. I try to get this deal done real early, and y'all say, I'll be there and commit. And that way, no matter how busy you get, you're like, shit, I already told Brian I'd be there. I got to go. So,
you know me, I'm going regardless. So.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, thanks again, Steve. I'm going to jump off here, and I'll see you soon.
Yep. Thanks, bro.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Okay.